Good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody can see me okay. If you wouldn't mind, just send me a wee message in the chat function, just saying who you are and introducing yourself to myself and to everybody else in our virtual room. We're on the virtual remote platform this morning, so when we're in present mode, I can't see who else is here. But you should see on your right-hand side, there's chat, participants, and Q&A. So if you can use the chat function for any comments and introductions, the list of participants, you can see who else is in the room here today, and then the Q&A. So if you have any questions as we go, then please feel free to share them. There you go. There's comments from Jane and Emma. Hello, everybody. So we are recording the session today as well, and I am going to try and share my PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully so if you have a small view of the PowerPoint presentation, there are 4 arrows in a box on the right hand side. If you click on that, it makes it bigger. Okay, so those are our housekeeping rules. Just bear with me one wee second. Okay, so thank you all for coming along today to our information session. I am really delighted that we've reached this stage in the programme. It feels like it's been a really long journey and one that I've been talking about for a number of years. And as we're getting closer to the start of the actual mentoring relationships, I'm really grateful for your support. I'm really grateful, obviously, to our funder as well, to the National Lottery Community Fund, who have invested in this programme. And it's thanks to them, and it's thanks to you all here today for believing in this programme, for the commitment and enthusiasm and support that you have shown so far. So it's not something that I or the wider CO3 team or board take for granted. So thank you so much. So we've gone through the housekeeping. We are recording the session today as well. We're just recording this view. We're in presentation mode, and because there's some of our mentors who haven't been able to join us today, and some unfortunately been having some tech problems. But whenever we go back to the table discussion, we will not be recording that at all. So just this present mode here. So the purpose of today is to just run through the high-level outcomes that we've set out for this programme, and then also as an opportunity just to reflect on what we've achieved so far, next steps, and then some helpful pieces of guidance and tips which will hopefully help support you on your way. So just to quickly run through the 6 high-level outcomes that we want to achieve through this leadership programme. The first of those is to build and strengthen the income generation skills of leaders in the third sector, to build and strengthen the sustainability and resilience of charities in Northern Ireland, thereby protecting key services they provide, to develop and implement an income generation strategy, building confidence, capacity and knowledge of up to 30 leaders over an 18-month time frame, and to carry out a strategic audit of the charity and the activities relating to income generation, and the creation of a longer-term view to income generation within the sector at large. And although this is a small cohort, we can only support 30 leaders and their organisations. There will be learning that we'll be able to share with the wider sector as we progress through this journey together. And then ultimately, and one of the most important aspects of this programme is the ability to create and cultivate a culture of giving forward. So all of the mentees that will be starting this journey in the next week or two will have an opportunity then to take up the baton of becoming a mentor in 18 months' time. So everything that they have learned through this programme, through yourselves, through the mentoring support, through the training support, and through the wider support that they're going to get from this cohort, they'll then get to share with a new group. So that's really important. In terms of our outcomes for today, this will be an opportunity just to reflect on the story so far, the key milestones that we've met, and then what happens next. We'll also walk you through some guidance, support, and some tips. We have a range of resources as well, which we will share with you before you meet with your mentees over the next couple of weeks as well. And if anybody has any questions or queries that they may have, please feel free to connect with me separately. And today as well, it's an opportunity for you all to start to get to know each other. I'm conscious that some of you know and have previous connections with some of the mentor cohort, but not all of you. So it's an opportunity for you to start to build your relationships with other mentors as well. So in terms of key dates, what's happened so far? So we've recruited our 30 mentees, and we always knew there was going to be a high demand for the program. So the 30 that we have selected, I have really underscored and highlighted to them that they have this place at a table, and there was a queue of people behind them that had wanted to be part of this program. So it's so important that they are fully involved in the program over the course of the next 18 months. We've recruited 20 mentors. We have 16 of our mentors have been selected, and you've all been informed. Well, most of you at this point have received an email from me yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening, sharing with you the details of who your mentee or mentees are going to be. We're really fortunate as well in that we have some mentors that, although they're part of the program, either can't make the commitment now to join, but have offered to share their particular skill set and experiences as well. So we do have other mentors in the bank that we can draw upon as and when we need them as well. We had the meet and greet session mainly for the mentees a couple of weeks ago, but some of our mentors were able to join that session, and it was a good opportunity to see who else is going to be involved in the program. We ran the income generation training program for the mentees last Thursday and Friday, and thank you to Roger Courtney for delivering that. And the feedback on both days has been really positive. I was able to sit in on the Thursday training program event, and the feedback was really positive, and again some really great questions, and people already starting to think about, well, what does income transformation like for me? And there are some of our mentees that have very specific ideas, and some of those already in train. For other mentees, they have a range of ideas, and for us, for our mentors, it's just pulling those ideas down and seeing what's feasible and what's not. We have our mentors information workshop happening right now, and we've got the mentees information workshop happening this afternoon as well. By Wednesday, by tomorrow, all of the matches should be completed. We haven't notified the mentees, I've said in the email last night, and again it was just an opportunity just to double check that our mentors are content with their matches. We're also running the income generation training program, a mini session that Roger's going to run for mentors, and that's happening on Thursday between 1 and 3. For those of you who are not able to make that, we are going to record it and we will send it through. And again, there's some templates that Roger has shared as part of that group, and again we'll be sharing those with the full group. What we're planning to do is to create a cloud-based folder that everybody has access to, and we'll store different templates and resources on there. And also you can save stuff on there as well that you think will be beneficial to the wider group as well. Then hopefully the mentoring relationships will commence from the 22nd of March, and then just before or after Easter, we'll follow up just to make sure that that you've had an opportunity to connect with your mentee and potentially had your first mentoring session with them. We're also running a training program, a financial analysis of your charity. And, for us, and again, this is feedback that we got from you all in the room. And it was as much as looking internally into the organisation to make sure that the foundations are in place in terms of the the financial management and the governance arrangements for the organization, because if that's not sound, there's no use and there's no value in looking externally to opportunities. So that internal analysis is as important as the external analysis. We also have 2 virtual meetup dates organised for the 29th of June and the 8th of December. One of those, maybe the 8th of December one, may be an actual face-to-face, who knows, but for now we're planning everything to be virtually. There'll also be an opportunity as well for us to develop training as well, but what we want is to hear from you, from our mentors and from our mentees, in terms of what you feel would be a beneficial training program that would benefit your mentees and also benefit the wider cohort. So we can look at that as we go, rather than us determining what those training needs are now. So what I'll move on to now is just some general tips for mentors, and it feels like for many of you in the room, I'm teaching Rani to suck eggs, because you're all experienced leaders. But we thought it'd be useful just to share some high-level tips with you. The first of those is in relation to your mentoring relationship, and it's about maintaining regular contact. So at the start especially, don't always wait for your mentee to make the first move, especially in the situation where some of the mentors can be seen as more senior, and the mentee may feel that it's not my place to connect with the mentor. Now, as after the first couple of meetings, hopefully that dynamic will change. But at the start, it's just as a mentor, just being aware of that and being accessible to your mentee, and know that you're fully committed to them. However, if it's always a mentor that is ringing and following up and trying to organise the next meeting, then that needs to be confronted. So please contact us if that's happening. Ultimately, it's the mentees that need to be driving this relationship. However, for the first couple of meetings, we are just asking our mentors just to be mindful of just being accessible and potentially making that first move. I will be doing an e-introduction, connecting you with your mentees over the course of the end of this week or early next week. It's also really important to be clear about boundaries from the start. We have a sample mentoring agreement form that we can send through to you, and that sounds really formal. It's not, but it does set out what the clear boundaries are to start the relationship on a formal basis. And we know from managing and coordinating our main mentoring program, which is focused on leadership development, that it's much easier to expand those boundaries by mutual agreement at this stage, rather than trying to set them up and install them halfway through the relationship. So if those boundaries are set at the outset, it makes it much more structured, and everybody's really clear on what's involved. It's also really important to always be honest, but maybe not too honest. It's about avoiding being judgmental. What you want to do is create a safe space for your mentee, and to ask questions, no matter how basic that they may seem. This has to feel like a safe space for your mentee, that they can open up to you and be completely honest about where they feel that their weaknesses are in relation to income generation, to discuss ideas that they may have, which in some instances may not go any further than the conversation that they're having. But it's important that they feel that they have that safe space with you. The role of any mentor is that critical friend role. This isn't meeting up for tea and having a chat about the latest box set on Netflix, so you may do a wee bit of that. It is that critical friend role, so that positive challenge function that a mentor will have, and especially so when we're looking at transformational change when it comes to income generation. Confidentiality is so important here, and trust is at the heart of any mentoring relationship, but especially so at this level. And your mentee will be opening their organization's doors to you and showing where their vulnerabilities are and where the potential threats are. So it's really important that you build that trust from the outset of that relationship, and that maintaining that confidentiality throughout the course of the program will be really, really important aspect to it. It's also important to be flexible as well. You know, for us, we are here in a coordination and support role. I'm not standing with the flip chart saying that you must meet your mentee once a month for 2 hours over that 18-month period. There may be occasions where you need to meet your mentee more at the start or during a particular point in a project or business development. So that flexibility is important. Also, in terms of the timings of the meeting, can have an impact on the success of the relationship as well. And again, this comes down to setting the boundaries. You know, when do you want to meet? How do you want to communicate? So if you figure that out early on, then that ensures then that there's no confusion and there's no assumptions that somebody knows that I can't do a Friday afternoon because I'm looking after the children or caring for my parents, whatever it may be. It's also important as well to encourage peer mentoring. You know, show the mentee that you want to learn from them too. And it was a comment that some of our mentors had said to me after the session last week, that a lot of these mentees are at chief executive level. And that's because they recognize that they need to develop and they need to look at new ways of bringing in income. And very often, income generation mainly sits with the chief executive. So that's why we have probably more chief executives than senior managers. And there's a range of experiences and expertise that they hold. So that peer mentoring between the mentor and the mentee will be really important, and also with the wider cohort as well. And you know, for those of you as well that are mentoring two mentees, you know, everyone is unique and there is no set script or process here. So I suppose it comes down to using your instincts. And again, hopefully I'm not teaching Granny to suck eggs here. And what's really important as well is the exit strategy, an exit strategy that suits both parties. So we have the commitment and the budget to support our mentees with 2 hours of mentoring support on a monthly basis over an 18-month period. And it could be that after 6 meetings with your mentee, you feel I've given them everything that I need, or after eight months, whatever the time frame may be, that you feel that there's nothing more that you can add, and it's an opportunity then for another mentor to step in with who's a different set of experiences and a different area of expertise. And that's a really important aspect of this program. But plan that, and don't turn up at one meeting and say, right, this is my last meeting with you, and we'll organize for another mentee to step in. And again, this may seem like common sense, but it's just making sure that you have that exit strategy in place. And as well as having that conversation with your mentee, please have it with me as well, so that we can organize in advance then who else can step in. And it may be that mentor may be just stepping back for a couple of sessions, and you want to bring in a mentor that has experience or expertise in individual giving or social enterprise, whatever it may be, and that's okay. You know, you can come back as well at a different point on the journey. And again, it will come down to the individual needs of that particular mentee and their organization. What's fundamental as well is that the mentees can only access one mentor at a time. So just what I've talked about is that opportunity to develop an exit strategy either on a permanent basis or on a temporary basis, so that we have the notice and be able to coordinate that, so that there isn't a gap in that mentoring relationship. The mentees, we have a budget to support our mentees with 2 hours per month of mentoring support. Now, we will be developing a template and sharing that with the mentees, for them to keep a record of the number of hours that they have essentially used. if they reach their quota, unfortunately, then we can't. We're not in a position. We don't have the budget to provide them with additional support. We also, and this again comes back from a couple of conversations that I've had both with mentees and with mentors. Although you're mentoring, the mentoring relationship is a one-on-one relationship. When you're looking at income generation transformation, this can't just sit with one individual. This can't just sit with your mentee. This has to sit with the wider organization, with the board, and with the senior management team. So a couple of our mentees and mentors have said about, would we be open to are the mentors holding some of their mentoring sessions, including some of the wider SMT team and or the board as it's appropriate. And that's absolutely a yes from our perspective, of course. And that may really help to provide a support case for mentees that need to go to the board about a business investment, using their reserves to invest in a new member of staff or whatever it may be. So having the mentor to support and explain and provide the rationale of the journey that the mentee is on could be really, really beneficial. And as I've said as well, ultimately, the mentee is in the driving seat here, although, of course, this is a huge commitment of your time. The biggest commitment has to come from the mentee. And so in terms of your role, you're there to provide advice and guidance and support and offer that critical friend role. You're not there to take on the operational responsibility that ultimately has to sit with the mentee and the senior management team within the organization. And it's the mentee that's ultimately has to drive and lead that. In terms of pointers for the mentoring relationship, and this is something that we share with our mentors involved in our other main program that we've been running now for 15 years. And what's really important here is just clarifying your expectations. Are we clear with one another in terms of what you want to achieve and what value you can bring? And draw up that mentoring agreement. And again, we will send you through a template, which hopefully you'll find useful, and establish a set of ground rules which you'll both abide by. When and where you're going to meet. Well, it's going to be virtual in the interim anyway. How long and how often? How are you going to record what actions have been agreed and then need followed up? How will you remind each other of future meetings? And what's your preferred method of feedback? Is it by email? Is it a telephone call? Is it a virtual meeting? And again, it may all sound very basic, but it's important that you have those expectations clarified at the start, so then you're not making any assumptions early on. Then it avoids any breakdowns in communication. And then ultimately, it's deciding whether or not the relationship's actually working. And if you feel it'd be beneficial, maybe to put in a review date after a couple of meetings. The chemistry factor is really important in any mentoring relationship as well, and that's something that we can't plan for, unfortunately. So it could be after 2 meetings, 3 meetings that you recognize actually this match isn't working for me, and that's okay if that does happen. Hopefully it won't, but if it does, please come and talk to us. In terms of the first meeting as well, somebody had said to me it kind of feels a bit like a blind date, and both parties will be nervous, and that's perfectly normal and acceptable. And it is just about, and I know, from speaking with our mentors, whenever I first approached many of you about joining the program and sharing your experience and expertise, and your first instinct was, well, what value can I bring? And you guys have been leading organizations, you've been supporting organizations to develop a more diverse income model, which has been transformational. So you've so much to add. But of course, there's always that sense of anticipation about, can I actually add value? So From the mentee perspective, you know, they're potentially going to be in a position whereby, you know, until they build that relationship with you, that they're going to feel a bit anxious for the first meeting or two. And it will take time to get to know one another. You know, and again, it's just about building that relationship with them, and it's about, you know, sharing a bit about who you are, what your background is, you know, what your motivations are. So as you get to know one another, then that trust and that relationship then starts to build. And again, you know, it's just stating the obvious, but it's really important. Confidentiality is so important here. It's fundamental to the success of this program. And if we don't have that, then, you know, ultimately the relationship will break down. So it's about being clear on recognizing that the mentee is going to share with you inside knowledge, inside intelligence into their organization, which will expose some of their vulnerabilities, and recognizing that that information will stay with you and you only. In terms of the budget for this as well, and I have talked about this previously, but I thought it was important to emphasize it again. You know, so we have for those of you that are mentoring 2 mentees, we have a budget of £300 for 2 hours worth of support times 2. And for those of you who are taking on 1 mentee, then it's £150. So essentially it works out at £75 an hour that we're able to provide. And again, that flexibility is really important. So for the first meeting, it may just be an hour-long meeting. That's okay. And then for the next one, it may be slightly longer. It's just for you to keep a record of what hours you're spending with your mentee, and then being aware that our budget is allowing for a maximum of 2 hours per mentee per month. It's okay that if you need to meet your mentor maybe twice in one particular month, but then recognize then that as that relationship develops, then that there's an opportunity maybe to provide less mentoring support when it's not as important as during other times of the mentoring relationship. We can accept invoices monthly from our mentors if that would be beneficial to them, or we can do it quarterly, whatever works from your side, and we can be flexible. Just a heads up that our supplier payments are processed after the 25th of every month. So if it comes in after that, then it will be the following month. And it's about clearly stating the number of hours, the date of the mentoring session, and the name of the mentee that you are supporting. And if there's any problems with the invoices, we'll follow up with you individually. And again, it's just to stress that we have a maximum budget of 36 hours over the 18-month period, and we'll be keeping a watchful eye to make sure that our mentees are not exceeding that. And we'll communicate with you if we see that is a potential. So some of our mentors are in the room today and some are not able to make it. But what I thought would be useful is to share with you all of the mentors that we have, who we have placed. There are other mentors that are sitting on the bench that we have access to as well. So just to run through that list really quickly, we have Alice Garrett, whose main area of expertise is in corporate fundraising and big gifts. We have Andrew Irvine, who his main area of expertise would be in social enterprise, but also in contact tendering as well. Claire Ferris, who's social enterprise. Emma Garrett, who's social enterprise. Gillian Gibson, who would have a range of areas of expertise, in particular focusing on grants and foundations and social enterprise. Harry McDade, again, social enterprise. Jane Taggart, social enterprise. Karen Gallagher, individual giving, big gifts, legacy as well. Laurie McCusker, social enterprise, but also grants and foundations as well, or trusts and foundations rather. Lorraine McCourt, contract tendering. Linda Wilson, contract tendering and trusts and foundations. Mary Marin, social enterprise. Nikki Conway, social enterprise, and also contract tendering as well. Roger Courtney, I've said is foundations and trusts, but again comes with a wealth of experience working across different income streams. Seamus O'Prien is social enterprise. Stephen Matthews, again, a wealth of experience, but the primary one I'm saying for now is contact tendering. And last but not least is Tim McGowan, so big gifts and corporate partnerships. So there's a range of experiences and a range of expertise that our mentors have, and that's going to be a really important aspect of this program. So again, a huge thank you to you all for your support. It's really important. In terms of the mentees, so hopefully you will all have sight of who the mentees are at this point, through completing the conflict of interest form. I've also been in touch with all of you at this point as well to share with you the details of who your mentees are. Thankfully, everybody's come back with a thumbs up to say that they're happy with their match, which is great. I haven't informed the mentees yet because I wanted to get feedback from you guys first of all. But my intention is to let the mentees know who their mentors are by either close of play today or tomorrow, depending on whenever all the mentors come back to me. And again, a range of mentees who are really experienced and have so much that they can add to this program as well. But they're here because they recognize that their income model is vulnerable and that it needs to change, and they need support with that change. So although they're experienced at chief executive level or at senior management level, they are very open to the fact that they recognize that they need to change. And for some of them, they have got some very specific projects that they're already in train or have got huge potential. For others, they have a range of ideas, and I suppose part of your role as our mentors is just about focusing in on those areas where you see could be transformational and could generate more income for that organization to make them feel less vulnerable through a more diverse income model. And again, that's the list of our full mentees. I'm not going to run through them all because hopefully you've had sight of them all at this point. Also, just to flag, and it's something that I'm going to share with our mentors as well, is we've asked each of our mentees to complete a questionnaire just to give us a sense of where they are now in terms of income generation and how confident they feel and what they want to get out of the program. So prior to your first meeting, I am going to share the questionnaire results, obviously with the mentees' permission. And so again, it helps you to build up a picture of where they are, and you do some homework in essence before that first meeting. So it'll give you an insight into a better insight into your mentees. And again, you know, a big focus of this program is on building a community of learning and support. You know, we want to create opportunities for you to learn and share together. So we'll have the shared folder. You have the monthly meetings now with your mentees. We have the virtual meetups organised in June and December. And if there's something else that you feel that we could be doing that creates an opportunity for more learning and sharing, please come and talk to us. We're really open to adapting to ensure that, you know, you get the most from this program and that your mentees get the most from the program. And again, having that access to a wider pool of mentors so that you feel that you can pick up the phone to somebody who has got experience in individual giving or legacy or social enterprise, whatever it may be, and to have a conversation with them. And it could just be a sounding board for additional advice, and that's going to be a really important aspect of it. And if you're not confident about who to contact, you know, please coordinate through ourselves, and we can organise that as well. And for us as well, the addition of the other training programs, we do have a budget for other training programs, but I want you to come back and tell me what you feel would be beneficial to your mentees, and again for our mentees to come back and tell us what is important to them. And ultimately, it's about your commitment to the program, which will determine the success of the program. So, and that's especially true for our mentees, but for everybody, you know, for our mentors and our mentees, you know, this is a big commitment, and I'm so grateful for your support. But ultimately the successes program will come down to that cohort. So we have 30 mentees and we have 17 main mentors. So there's a wealth of experience and expertise. So it's about making sure we are utilizing them. So that's enough from me. And that was a quick overview, and we will be sharing some templates and offering some of this advice in more detail to you before you meet with your mentor. Now what we're going to do is it's an opportunity for you to get to know one another a wee bit better. We have until 11:15, and it's your opportunity to introduce yourself, who you are, your name and your organisation, what you feel that you can bring to the table, you know, your areas of expertise and experience. I'm also really interested to hear, you know, what do you see as the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity for the programme, and also to discuss at your tables. And please feedback to me directly, either now or at a later date, if you think that there's additional support that you may need for CO3, and we are here to support and coordinate. I am really conscious that this is a relationship between you and your mentee, and we are there on the sideline for support, for guidance as and when it's needed. So I'm going to stop presenting and